Hello, thank you for joining my presentation on the effectiveness of social emotional learning instruction at the middle school level. The implementation of quality social emotional learning (SEL) programs in the middle school classroom will be especially important in the coming years as students navigate through the after effects of the COVID-19 quarantine and their school's social network shifting between in-person and online interactions. Increasing SEL skills in middle schoolers will affect their success in both academic and non-academic aspects of their school experience. We have yet to fully document the effects of social distancing and the transition to online school on adolescent mental and emotional health. However, preliminary studies indicate that the impacts quarantine and online schooling had on adolescents was significant. A qualitative study by Velez 2022 interviewed 816 adolescents across the U.S. about their experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic. They found overarching themes were social disconnection and inadequacy of virtual means of communication, interconnection of daily routines, social life and mental health, and a sense of missing out on key experiences and times in adolescence. These findings also connect with emerging research that indicate a rise in mental health challenges during the pandemic. In looking at potential adolescent responses to the pandemic, three behaviors of focus were selected based on preliminary research on the effects of school closures during the COVID-19 pandemic by Salmela Arrow and Madi Stefanidi, 2022. The targeted behaviors of focus are nicotine use, emotional and physical bullying, and poor academic performance. The research goal of this paper is to analyze the current literature and to provide insight into the effectiveness of SEL curriculum at the middle school level in reducing negative behaviors. This research will add value to the community as building social emotional skills is a timely concern in schools. Implementing programs in schools to assist struggling students will be a high priority discussion, and SEL programs may offer an effective solution for schools. Negative behaviors have been increasing in recent years, and this information may help to guide decision makers in the school community in implementing SEL programs in a post pandemic environment. The current meta analysis study analyzes current literature to determine the effects of SEL instruction on the adolescent learner. The included literature was selected based on the specificity of topic, timeliness of publication, and objectivity in data analysis and discussion. Each study has been analyzed and applicable findings are summarized. The following review of literature confirms the importance of SEL instruction at the middle school level to decrease tobacco use, bullying, and poor academic performance. And here we have the map of literature detailing how this paper is organized. Each focus behavior will be covered in terms of current trends and then the effectiveness of SEL learning on the behavior according to current literature. And here we're starting with trends in adolescent nicotine use. In a meta-analysis study by Boyd et al. 2021, researchers used data collected in the Population Assessment of Tobacco and Health Study, PATH, to analyze adolescent tobacco use over a 3-year period. Researchers looked at all 3 waves of the study to determine the long-term trajectory of nicotine use, included demographic information, and reduced the study sample size to only adolescents who used tobacco in the past 30 days. They also looked for correlations between the trajectory of nicotine use and symptoms of nicotine dependence. And what they found was an alarming 18% of total use, an increasing or high prevalence tobacco use category. They also showed significant signs of nicotine dependence when compared to other categories. Boyd et al. 2020 shows the need for school intervention based on the current trajectory of nicotine use by adolescents. Schools may be able to change the current trajectory of nicotine use, though, by analyzing the social and emotional predictors. Researchers found the SEL skills of self-control and peer interactions to have a statistically significant effect on nicotine use. SEL curriculums include lessons in relationship building, self-control, and decision-making. These findings support the positive effects of increasing SEL lesson skills in reducing the negative behaviors of nicotine use in adolescents. This is supported by Hoffman 2021, who analyzed data from the 2017 and 2018 Monitoring the Future National Survey of 8th and 10th grade students. They found statistical significance between adolescents' self-control and nicotine use, especially when peers are using vaping products. And now we're on to our second area of focus, which is the trends in adolescent peer bullying. The effects of social distancing in online school during the 2020-2021 school year on bullying in adolescents remains to be seen. However, bullying among adolescents has been a consistent problem in schools, and the addition of smartphones has added a new dimension to the way in which students are victimized. Data from the Lee et al. 2020 paper on youth risk behavior survey to determine if Healthy People Initiative was effective in reducing bullying trends among US youth found that the Healthy People Initiative did not reduce bullying trends among youth. They found the prevalence of cyber victimization and traditional victimization are both unchanged significantly from 2011 to 2019. This is indicating that we do need to make some changes in order to reduce the negative behavior of bullying among adolescents. Determining the SEL skills most prevalent in bullying behavior is a first step in developing that appropriate curriculum. A study by Bonnet 2021 found a correlation between emotional intelligence and bullying behaviors. The researchers used quantitative survey tests to find patterns in SEL skills in three categories of adolescents: bullies, victims, and bully victims, which are victims who also bully. The SEL skills assessed in this study were emotional intelligence, aggression, and resilience. And researchers found that bullies and bully victims had lower levels of emotional intelligence and higher levels of being actively aggressive. They also provided preliminary evidence of the beneficial effects that emotional intelligence and resilience training may have on improving peer relationships within primary schools. And then finally, we come to the trends in adolescent academic achievement. There is a large focus in schools on academic achievement, and studies show that academics are a predictor of future career success. A study by Watts 2020 conducted a long term survey to compare students' reading and math scores with their future employment earnings. They found that high academic achievement in math and reading at age 16 years old had an effect of approximately 12% increase in income between the ages of 33 and 55 years old. And there are current positive trends in student academic achievement. According to the 2020 Kids Count National Survey, the percentage of high schoolers not graduating on time decreased from 21% to 14% during the time frame of 2010 to 2019. This statistic may not give the full picture, though, as the survey also found that eighth graders not proficient in math has remained stagnant at 67% from 2009 to 2019. People of color also account for significantly lower academic achievement, with only 87% of African American eighth graders proficient in math in eighth grade and 20% not graduating on time in 2019. There's a clear need to improve academic achievement in adolescence. And the SEL skill of self control is a strong predictor of academic success, as is detailed in a study by Kunle et al. 2011. This study examined 697 adolescents and determined their self control skills using the Child's Self Control Rating Scale. Researchers then compared the students' self control to the academic track they were placed in at the end of their eighth grade year: low, medium, or high difficulty. Researchers found a strong correlation between high levels of self control and high levels of academic success. They also suggested that self control training at a young age could increase the skills needed to achieve this success. And according to Camacho Morales et al. 2021, specifically, our results suggest that academic achievement may depend on students' ability to effectively regulate the emotions elicited by achievement activities. Emotion regulation is understood as a process of recognizing, managing, and modifying the experience of emotions. And now on to our discussion. The SEL skills of self-control and emotional intelligence have shown to be primary factors in several of the studies, which reference them as a mediating factor in adolescent negative behaviors. When students are proficient in these skills, academic achievement increases, tobacco use decreases, and bullying behavior also decreases. These findings suggest that honing these specific SEL skills would be of value to the school community in preventing negative behaviors. Some limitations of our research are that the data referenced in this paper was conducted in several studies with varying demographics and methodologies. The conclusions of this paper are based on assumptions that, if measured concurrently, the negative behavior of focus would reduce as it had when studied independently. However, we are limited due to the lack of long term controlled experiments on all three of these behaviors. We believe a study of this nature would confirm the findings in this paper. This paper also applies pre-pandemic data to a post-pandemic educational landscape. The effects of COVID-19 on adolescent mental, emotional, and academic success have not yet been thoroughly studied due to the time limitations. The assumption of this paper is that negative behaviors will increase as a result of the COVID 19 pandemic, and the need for SEL instruction in education will become more urgent. The conclusion of this paper is a detailed need for the reduction of specific negative adolescent behaviors, and the skills which research them have been shown to be preventative measures against these behaviors. There is a need to reduce the following negative behaviors in adolescence: nicotine use, bullying, and low academic achievement. And the SEL skills taught in available curriculums could increase in emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, and self control. Based on currently available research, SEL instruction at the middle school level will reduce the negative behaviors of nicotine use, bullying, and low academic achievement. And here we have the references for this research. Thank you very much for joining my presentation, and I look forward to your feedback.